Welcome to Healed Whole Called, a podcast centered on the healing power of Jesus and what it means to walk in wholeness and calling in real life. This is a space for honest conversations about faith, healing, and restoration, spiritually, emotionally, and mentally, and how those truths meet us in everyday life. Today's episode is brought to you by Writer's Master Plan, a faith-anchored writing community hosted on School for writers carrying testimonies, memoirs, devotionals, and message-driven books. Inside the community, writers receive clarity, support, and a transparent path to writing and publishing without overwhelm or predatory pricing. To learn more, visit writersmasterplan.com. And now, here's your host, Wendy Melrose.
Hello, everybody. Today's guest knows what it's like to walk through grief, overcome trauma, and come out stronger on the other side. Terraine LeBeau is a relationship mentor and coach who works with women to overcome life's obstacles, break unhealthy patterns, and create lasting peace and happiness. Raised by his grandmother and meeting his parents later in childhood, Terraine has faced his share of challenges, but he turns those experiences into a mission. Through Behind the Shades coaching, he holds a space open for honest conversations. No topic is off limits, helping others step into the healing and wholeness. So you can always learn more about his work at behindtheshades.ca. Welcome, Terraine. How are you?
I am well. Thank you so much, Wendy, for having me today. It is a pleasure and an honor.
Thank you. So I know that you focus on helping women with their trauma, but let's rewind the clock to, what led you to that? What was it that you walked through to help you realize that, what, my heart is to help women in that space, even though, men would be, to me, a more natural thing. But here's the thing, I don't know. And I would love to know how you even got here. So let's start from the beginning. Share all the details.
Yeah, so I'll answer your first question. I'll answer your question first before I get into the nitty-gritty of it. So the reason why I gravitate to helping women is because I've had some very strong and influential women in my life. Like you mentioned in my bio and opening for my grandmother, who, rest in peace, no longer with us. She was an amazing person in my life. I remember giving a speech a couple of years ago. It's probably 2017 at one of her birthdays, and I said, "This is the first woman that has ever loved me. This is the first woman that I've ever loved myself, and this is the first woman that has ever shown me compassion and care." Because I didn't have my parents growing up, so that's what helped me to want to help women, because I know that women have helped me in my life. And then if I go even further back, I always enjoyed helping people. Like there was a time where at 18 years old, I was really involved in the church, and I used to give like Bible readings, and it was like the highlight of my week. For those who don't know, this is when you stand in front of all the people in the congregation and you read something from the Bible. So the scariest part is not the passage. The scariest part, everyone, is when you walk up those stairs, don't trip.
Right.
That is the scariest part, because no matter what you read after that, they're only going to remember that you fell up there. God may catch you and you may not stumble and fall flat on your face, right? But he will help you because he's that type of God. But that's how I got involved in public speaking. And then I realized, hey, this is something I really enjoy. So I took it from there. I took it to my current job. Anytime I give rewards and awards out, I love the acknowledgement part. And then fast forward to my late 30s, here I am giving these types of conversations and helping these types of people through their trauma, because I know what it's like to not have people there, and I know what it's like to have people there. So that's how I got started.
That's so awesome. And where would you say God showed up in ways you were tongue twisted? How did God show up in ways that were unexpected when you were a child?
Oh yeah, so I would say the very first time that I could remember was I was waiting for I was going somewhere, and this is when I took the bus, the public transit. And then there was just a couple of people, they're having a conversation about religion. And then, like when you hear it, but you're not involved, like your ear is leaning you towards a conversation, but your body's leaning you the other way. It was one of those. And then it reminded me of my childhood, how we used to go to the church, but I had no idea what was going on because, like a lot of people born in the late 80s, early 90s, we went because our parents told us to go.
Right.
Right? From the itchy pants to the itchy dress, we were just there. We went along to get along. But that is when God to me showed up in my life. And then when I moved out from my parents' house because I was having difficulty there, he blessed me to survive living on my own at the age of 20, which is quite difficult.
Mm-hmm.
And then further to that, he put me in a situation to be successful. And I always look at my life, and when it comes to blessings, whether you believe in God or not, is that it could be God, it could be the universe, it could be the stars, it could be whatever it is that you believe in. But for me, it was God. And it said that I'm going to whisper what you should be doing. I'm going to tell you what you should be doing. And then I'm going to shout, hey, do it. Already, right? So
Yeah.
that is how God showed up. And then I finally listened when he started to shout, even though I should have listened at the whisper, but the shout is like, okay, yes, I'm ready for this. And this is how I became ready. So that's how he showed up for me.
That's pretty cool. Well, one of my most recent prayers that I just really feel moved to is when we read about King David. Anytime before he would go to war, he would ask the Lord what he should do. And the Lord gave him the strategies. He did it, he would be successful. Anytime he didn't ask, he wasn't successful because he did it in his own flesh, in his own effort. So, my new prayer is, Lord, show me as you showed David, King David, how to be successful in XYZ, right? And then I had to need to wait to hear the whisper, to hear the, okay, this is what you should do. That's where I notice I struggle. But, I love how the Lord wants to help us. It's just us letting him.
I agree.
So, um, when you talk about how you help women in trauma, what is the way that, we know trauma is a very broad spectrum. Is there any particular trauma that you help with the most, or that you see the most often, and you're seeing the most success based upon how the Lord has led you to lead them?
Yeah, so the majority of what I see is the relationship with themselves and their relationship with others. So I'll give
Mm-hmm.
you an example. So there's some people, some women that I work with, because many of them are over the age of 40, 45, and let's say 50, right? So they're
Mm-hmm.
approaching, if not in the twilight of their life. And a lot of them feel that they're not worthy of love anymore because maybe it's escaped them because love is something that you get in your 20s.
Mm,
Because the majority of them were married in their 20s, right? It's a
right.
different generation.
Mm-hmm.
And then when it comes to relationship with other people, I find some of them struggle to let go of what is not serving them anymore. There's a beautiful part in the Bible where it says, "Don't become unevenly yoked."
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of people struggle with that because they think that that could be with a partner or a loved one. Well, it could be with your job. It could
Right.
be with your friends. It can be with, let's say, your hobbies. Are you staying up late at night, doom scrolling on TikTok and Instagram when you could be using that time for something else, right? So that's where I find women that I work with struggle in general. It's just understanding the relationship they have with themselves and the relationship that they should be having with others.
So are you noticing with these women's that they keep repeating, let's just say they're in relationships, so they want to have a relationship, they don't know how to because they keep repeating the patterns from the broken self. So how do you break those patterns?
Fantastic question. So what I do is I ask them, okay, name it. What is it? What's the behavior, right? And then feel it. Where do you feel it? Do you feel it in your hands? Do you feel it in your chest? Do you feel it in your legs? Do you feel it in your mind, right? And then to learn from it. So look at the first one, name it. So what is it that's causing you to have these types of relationships, right? Because you're attracting this. And some people say, well, Terry, no, everyone is bad. I was like, okay, look at it like this. Dozens of people get married every day. Why aren't you one of them?
Mm-hmm.
That's a question a lot of people don't ask, right? So name it. So identify what is causing it. Could it be that in your childhood, your parents were alcoholics? So you growing up now, that's your baseline, and you go seek out alcoholic men or women. Could
Mm-hmm.
it be that you weren't shown love, like you were never told you were good enough? right? So a lot of women go out there and the first guy says, "Oh, Wendy, you look so nice. I like your hair. You're so nice. Oh my God, Terraine, please marry me." Right? Is it one of those things, right? You never know, right? And then where is it that you feel it? Like every time you experience this behaviors, is it in your chest? Do you feel hot? Like I know when I experience anxiety or when I experience a bad situation, my chest gets warm, my back sweats. So all of a sudden, like I'll start walking around with an arch. Not because I'm royalty and I'm like, about to do the queen wave, right? Yeah, I'm kind of fancy out here. It's just I know that my body's reacting to something that maybe my eyes can't see. And then learn from it. Okay, I did X. It gave me Z. Y. Right? So this is something that people need to maybe go through, name it, where do you feel it, and then learn from it. And then that's how they would grow. And I found success with women working in that pattern.
Now, when they go through all of that, do you ever work on like a forgiveness part? Because we know that a lot of times forgiveness can be things where we need to even forgive ourselves for choices. Because we all know, yes, we can blame everybody else for being jerks, assholes, and all the things. But then in reality, we're the ones that allowed the behavior to go on beyond the first event, because we all know that when someone does this wrong, shame on them. When we allow it to happen again, shame on me. And not I'm talking about the shame factor, but then, that's just a saying that we use. But we shouldn't be tolerating and being like, oh, well, they didn't mean it, and then we in a cycle of abuse.
What I would say is that I agree. There is going to be a window of forgiveness, but the forgiveness you have to forgive yourself. Stop beating yourself up, right? So it's if we look at it from a perspective of, let's say, if you look at it from like a relationship with yourself, right? You're not getting the outcomes that you want. Don't beat yourself up. Forgive yourself and then move forward, right? A lot of times we will experience shame because we may look at our peer group and everyone else is having healthy, successful relationship and we're that odd person out, right? We're the last person picked on the volleyball team. We know we suck right now, right? And everyone is showing us they suck, but forgive yourself and let's try to get better, right?
Right.
And then you could forgive other people because you can't give out what you're not willing to accept. And that's where a lot of people struggle. So yes, to your point, we need to forgive ourselves and then start forgiving other people, saying that, you know what? It's okay that you treated me this way, but you no longer have the power to make me feel bad. I'm no longer a prisoner of this situation. I am free from it. So that's why it starts within before we can look outward.
Right. Now that's really good. And, it's kind of like where I went through a situation where I went through a divorce and I had told the Lord, I'm like, marriage was the dumbest idea you ever came up with. So bad. Not even sure why that was ever according to your plan. And he just whispered to me and said, like, let me heal you and I'll show you what I meant. And so that went from 2016. And then by the time the divorce was final, that was, see here, 2015. And the time the divorce was finalized in 17, like I was in a great place. The Lord like worked on my heart. The ex and I, we had a great, what I call a harmonious relationship. Where we co-parent great, but it's definitely important we stay in two different houses, right? So when I knew it was time to start dating again, divorce is final, all of that, I'm like, anytime I would meet someone, I would ask Lord, if this isn't who you have handpicked for me based on the promise you gave me, then take them out. Don't kill them. Just remove them from my life. And it's interesting. I went through for like I dated a Mr. what I called a Mr. November, Mr. December, Mr. January, February, March, April, and I was gonna give up by May, right? When then my cousin said in April when we had a big family event, I was telling him what was going on, and he was at the time a dating coach. And he's just like, he goes, it sounds like everything that you are doing isn't working. So do the opposite. So then, so I'm like, okay, because here's the thing, Mr. April, I found out was still married. I'm like, what? Yeah, I called the St. Louis City like courthouse and I'm like, is there even a divorce like filing or anything? He's like, no, run. So I broke that off and I'm like, okay, Lord. So I was taking a month off and it's the day after Mother's Day, May of 2018. And, just a couple months into being 40. And I'm like, all right, Lord, I really want to date. It's beautiful outside. Yeah, I'm ready. And so I get on Plenty of Fish app and I'm like, okay. So, but what's nice about the way the app worked back then, 7 years ago, is that the men are the ones who do I wanted to be pursued. I didn't want to do the chasing. So I was the one doing the left and the right while they messaged me. As here I get this message from my now husband who had said, look at his profile. He messaged me. I'm like, look at his profile. I'm like, it was a big rant about how women don't appreciate a good man. And I'm like, okay, normally this would be something I wouldn't do, but let's do the opposite. Something that looks like you're having as much fun as dating as I am. And he goes, I can't believe, expletive, you replied. And it was love after that. And so we got married 6 months later. So, but I made sure the whole time I was literally praying, if he isn't it, Lord, remove him from my life. I even did it like the day before we got married. I'm like, Lord, this is the last chance. If this is not it, I need you to be like, no. So I don't make it. It's been the best marriage ever. So, I mean, I just wanted to share that God can heal the trauma of past hurt and redeem that. It doesn't mean everybody's guaranteed a marriage, but I just wanted to share the testimony of that because you help women in ways that can help them get to that space and be in a place where they can receive that love.
And they have to be open to receiving it.
Yes. I even made room in my closet. I'm like, because I read something like, you can't expect a man to want to be married and live with you if your house is full of only your things. You don't have space for him to even be a part of your life. So I started to make space in my life, in my closet, just in general. Like that was physical manifestation place stuff. But like you have to make room in your heart for someone to even be there.
That's 100% true. And the thing is, like, to your point, you did the work and it took courage to say that this is what I usually go for. I'm getting this outcome. So the opposite is worthy of at least the opportunity. But what some people fall into is the habit. 6 feet, 6 inches, 6 figures.
Right.
That's it, right? So it's like, okay, what is your success rate? Well, Terraine, it's 0. Okay, so the opposite has to be better. No, it isn't. Yes, you don't get worse than 0.
Right. It's so true. It's so true. And it's so, I mean, here's my thing. And I'm going to kind of jump back to the divorce thing because so often people will tell me like, I don't understand how you guys get along so well. Well, here's the thing. Don't be a-holes. And here's another thing. You have to get along, communicate better, and forgive more divorce than you did when you're married. Because you have 2 different households. And something else that I did is I didn't take him for everything he had and didn't have. I didn't feel right doing that. I'm like, I was trying to stay at home. I stepped up my game. I went and get a job. I didn't want to, but here's the thing. When we have to go through things in life, we have to do things we don't want to in order to get to the outcome that God has created for us.
I agree. Like when you look at divorce, right, it happens more often than we would like it, to be honest, right, in our society. But what people don't understand when a relationship ends, some people, is that what you're doing, would you want that done to you? The answer would be no. What you're doing to this person, would you want it done to your son or your daughter? The answer would be no. Then why is it that you think it's okay to do it to someone else's child? Because remember, your ex, yours, mine, whomever's, that's someone's son, that's someone's daughter, that's someone's father, that's someone's mother, brother, sister, whatever the case is. And let's say you're going to be the jerk and you're going to take everything from them, right? What people fail to realize is that your next relationship, you're going to have to explain your past. So if you're a woman, then you're like, okay, I'm going to take him from everything. And then you start to date again. That man who you're dating, if he's a good man, he's going to say, okay, I see that you're single. Tell me a little bit about your past. How come it didn't work out? Oh, well, you know what? He was a jerk. Oh, okay. The guy before that, why didn't work out? Oh, you know what? He was a narcissist. Okay, the guy before that. Oh, he was this. He's an abuser. Okay, so what I've identified is that you pick poorly when it comes to men,
Oh, snap. Oh,
right?
but
And
that's
the
not
same thing,
true. I'm amazing.
of course,
Okay.
I
Maybe
am the
the problem
table.
is you. Sorry, don't
Exactly.
mean to get all
Right?
blunt.
No, that's what they say, right? Like, I am the table, right? And the same thing goes for men. I have former friends that they're at the point in their life, in their 40s right now, Wendy, where they blame the city that they're living in for their poor dating experiences.
Oh, sure.
I'm like, oh, of
Or the
course. I'm like, of
country,
course.
or their taxes, or
Of
their lack of job, whatever. It's like personal
everything but
responsibility.
themselves. Oh no, those are kryptonite for people who don't want to grow up. Responsibility and accountability. Any word that ends in ability, they don't even want, they don't want to hear, right? And that is the struggle. So where I come in is I say first and foremost is this: everything is your fault in general. Then you can start piecing together what is going to be attributed to your past and what is being attributed to right now. Because you can't fix other people, but you can fix you.
Mhm. Oh, it's so good. Um, so how long, because I'm super curious, when someone says, Train, I want to work with you, like how long can I expect my healing? I guess I would say as quickly as you're willing to do the work, but what's the truth?
Oh, the truth is, it's as long as you want it to be. Some people, I have one person, we're going on almost 4 years together. She's one of the first. So she's seen me go through my growing pains as a relationship mentor, right? So for her, it's taking that long because every time we resolve something, it changed her perspective and she was able to identify something else.
Hmm.
For example, she was divorced and she struggled with that divorce. And then when we were able to work it through, she found out that she had abandonment issues from her childhood, right? And then that would explain when anytime there was a conflict she believed she couldn't resolve, she would run. So tied back to her relationships, right? And then when we were able to help her work through that and have those conversations, she realized this is why she's so worried about safety and security at her job, which a lot of women are afraid of, right? Especially mothers. So for her, it was like every couple of months or every year, basically, something came up because we're peeling back the layers. I still have trauma. You may still have trauma. We all
Oh,
still have
sure.
trauma, right? But it's
Yeah.
one after another. The worst thing you can do is act like you don't and just try to live in survival mode for the rest of your life.
Well, and the thing is that you're fine and okay. Correct me if I'm wrong, but one can be live fine in survival mode until something bad happens and the stress becomes more than you can handle and you become unbearable.
Your body will tell you, remember? Feel it, your hands, your
Yeah,
chest, your
it's
mind.
so true.
There's someone that I know that she was exactly the same way. She was in a marriage, she was a second time married, and they weren't sleeping together anymore for whatever the reason. I'm not gonna get into specifics, right? This is someone that I used to know. And she ended up cheating, right? She would call it her weekend getaways every month, her weekend getaways. So eventually this caught up because she couldn't handle it anymore. And there was an attempt for her to unalive herself, as the young kids
Mm,
call it, right?
sure.
Self delete. So her body was telling her this because she was starting to feel it in her legs and she was always sick. Sleep 12, 14 hours. So whenever it is you're going through something, the first sign is going to be your body. Many of us ignore that because, to your point, we're in survival mode. I will push through it. My hands start to hurt, I get busy with my hands. My heart starts to hurt, I go sleep with a number of people. My mind starts to work, I go to work. These are all distractions from our health. And society does a perfect job, right? Don't you want to be a hard worker, Wendy? Don't you want to support your man, support your
Yeah.
children, support your family? Don't you want to be da 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 super mom, super wife, right? We all
Right,
want the
right,
cape on our backs, right? And the S on
right.
our chest. But these are distractions. So don't ignore your body because similar to when God comes calling, there's a whisper, there's a talk, and then they start to yell. When it comes to the yelling, that's almost a point of no return for many people.
Right. No, that's so good. Like even with my own body, it's like um it's funny because A plus B doesn't equal C when it comes to our health. And the at least the American medical system, I would assume the Canadians very similar. Everybody should fit in a fancy little box give them 2 pills, keep them addicted to those pills until they die. So here's where I'm noticing is when you take a holistic approach to your health, you know, what's interesting too, I don't know if you get into it, there's a book that's called Your Body Keeps Score. And so, there's ways our body will, I need to actually read it and keep going through it because it's interesting. At 47 years old, I'm noticing I have 2 5-pound buckets of water on my body because my lymphatic system isn't moving properly. Why? So I'm getting down to that why, because I had a doctor, I went to her and I'm like, so I can't figure out why I'm not releasing weight. And she goes, well, it's important that it's there. First time ever that I heard that. It's important that it's there because you want it to get removed properly. Because if you remove it improperly, don't say this is not a judgment to those who use the GLP shots, but people will say, hey, there's a lot of side effects with that. Well, the side effects are when you remove the fat too quickly and the toxins go into your organs. Regardless if you're using weight loss drugs or GLP shots or whatever, if you release the weight too quickly, it can cause extreme sickness. Same with, I believe, probably with, pretending that we're actually healing from trauma when we're really just masking it or trying to get rid of it as fast as possible, but it's causing more illness or emotional issues that are deeper.
Yeah, it's tough. It is tough for some people to turn that mirror to face them and sometimes literally, but let's say proverbially, strip down and say, okay, what is going on with me? There's this, there's that, there's this, there's that, right? That is a conversation I encourage everyone to have. Get yourself a full body mirror or one of those handheld ones and look into it and say, what is it that I love about me? What is it that I want to work on about me? And how is it that I want to show up to the world? Right? I remember doing that and it almost brought me to tears because it was a very difficult conversation. I had to admit to myself, there's a lot of things I didn't like about myself. Right? But how many of us have that conversation? Or how many of us think we're God's gift to the world? When our results don't mention that, right? So you're absolutely right. I think we need to figure out and don't shy away from our body. If you're not sleeping well, there's a reason. If you're stressed out, there's a reason. If you can't interact with other people or the world, there is a reason. And don't be shamed or feel guilty for seeking assistance.
Well, that is so true. And on that note, what is the best way for someone to get a hold of you if they feel like they're like, I want to get to know Terraine more, see how he can help me with what I have going on? Is it just to go visit your website or?
Absolutely. So you can visit, if you want to get a hold of me, there's always a free session for anyone who references this podcast. You can reach me at www.behindtheshades.ca. All my information is there. Or if you want to email me, you can email me at behindtheshadesinterviews@gmail.com. And then we can have a conversation because, like me and like so many other people, let's help you find peace, love, and happiness in all the right places after we spent so many years trying to find it in all the wrong places.
Oh, that's so good. So I would love to give you the option. I'd love to finish off the podcast this way. Would you like to share a final word of encouragement or would you like to pray over the audience?
Yeah, I can share a final word of encouragement. That works for me.
Okay.
So, what I can share then is this for everyone out there, you are worthy of the type of life that you're pursuing. You may not have found it yet. It may look like it's far away into the future, but it starts today. Forgive yourself and love yourself. Those are the first 2 steps. Forgive yourself for everything that has happened to you. Forgive yourself for all the things that you may have done, and forgive yourself for the things that you will do in the future. Because guilt and shame is a very destructive behavior to experience. And when it comes to love, always be united by love. Because ask yourself this question, and I'll close with this. The people you keep around you, how are they benefiting your life in the way that you want your current life to become? If the answer is there is no benefit, you may have to reevaluate your connection to them. If the answer is there is a benefit, then continue forward. But ask yourself that question, and trust me, you'll see that life will get so much happier.
That is so amazing. Well, thank you so much, Terraine, for sharing your heart with us today. To our listeners, remember your story isn't over. You are not disqualified by what you've been through or maybe even going through. And with Jesus Christ, you are healed, whole, and called. Till next time. Thanks.
Thank you for joining us on Healed, Whole, Called. If this episode spoke to your heart, don't keep it to yourself. Subscribe and share it with someone who needs to know that healing is possible, purpose is real, and God is still restoring. And before you go, visit resilience-press.com and download your free copy of Get to the Point of Self-Publishing, Wendy's guide to help you move from stuck to published with clarity and confidence. You'll find it in the free resources section. Until next time, stay rooted in truth, covered in grace, and always moving toward the promise.